Hey guys, welcome back to Ollie Talks Airsoft. Today we are going to be talking about something really important, bolt bounce. This is basically, grab my MWS. What we're talking about is when your bolt goes forward, does the bolt carrier go forward and stay forward, or does it do that and have a little bounce? Anyone that watched my previous video will see that I'm now in possession of one of these little bad boys. So this is a GoPro Hero 10. So with this I can do, basically I should be able to film some slow motion stuff. So this is going to be my first attempt at doing this, so please forgive me if it goes wrong. But we're going to try and get some 2.7K 240 frames per second footage of bolt bounce. And then I'm going to show how using different kinds of bolts, so for example I've got heavyweight bolt here by Angry Gun. This one, I can't remember if this is either my BCM one or a GMP one, but this is one with actual moving weights, and ultimately this is usually going to be the solution if you are suffering with bolt bounce. This is what you're going to need. But let's first off have a little look and let's see what kind of bolt bounce we're getting with the standard arrangement here. So right, I'm going to pause this, go to the GoPro, and hopefully I'll be able to capture some slow-mo. Okay, so that was with the regular TM buffer, not the one that I've modified, just the completely stock one. I believe that the spring that's in here at the moment is also just the completely stock TM one. Okay, so now we've got the heavy buffer in. So this isn't the high speed one that's made of alu, this is the heavyweight one made of steel. So we should see more bolt bounce from this. Ultimately you don't want bolt bounce, but it's just one of those things that happens. You need to know about it, because if you know about it you can then do something to try and prevent it. So that's what we're doing here. Right. So that was the first two. Now let's look at the third one, and this is where a little bit more care usually has to be taken, because someone else asked me about this recently, and it's a good point ultimately. Now you have to appreciate that these are different lengths, and what you need to do in order for these to function properly. So this is the Tokyo Marui length, this is the length that the buffer was designed to be used with. So you can see when Angry Gun have done theirs, they've basically replicated it, so it's the same length. What you need to do is you need to make it so that this is the same length. What I usually do is buffer my buffer tube out with 10Ps in order that it basically creates the same level. So I'm going to grab some 10Ps and I'm going to show you how many I'm going to put in there, and then I'm going to drop it in here and I'm going to see what it's done to the bolt bounce. Okay, so here I've got a little stack of 10Ps, and when we put those 10Ps along with the actual buffer there, they pretty much equal the length of this one. That's what we want to do. The reason that we need to do this, and may not be obvious at first, but each time you pull the trigger, this bolt is going backwards and it is going into the buffer tube. When it reaches this point here, up here is going to start smashing into the top here. So it's going to start smashing on the inside. You don't want the bolt to be able to travel so far backwards down the tube that the top of this starts smashing up here. You flopped it at that point. So you need to make sure that it doesn't do that. And the way to do that is just by buffering it out. So what you'll need to do is you need to take out the spring. So get that out. Get your collection of 10Ps or washers or whatever. Just drop them in whatever way. There you go, that should all be fine in there. Pop the spring in and let's get this buffer in. Lovely. Okay, so this will now close up. Pop that pin through. Now, what I'm looking for here is, this is now at the rear of the travel. So I've got a little bit of slack in here, but if I now push the bolt backwards, how much further can it actually go? Okay, that's not too bad. If this was going all the way out of sight so that I couldn't see this bolt anymore, it means it's traveled too far down this buffer tube, and that's going to cause you major problems. But at the moment, it looks pretty good there. So let's go back to the GoPro and see if we can record some more high quality footage. Okay, so now, hopefully you can see from that the bolt is going backwards and it's going forward and it's stopping. The reason for that is because there's actually a moving weight inside the buffer. So instead of the buffer just having, the comping on the back is nice, increases your rate of fire a little bit, same with this one. On the real steel ones, you don't have that comping. So it will feel slightly different. It feels much sharper, it feels much more abrupt if you're just going to be using a real steel buffer tube. I would say, sorry, a real steel buffer, but I would say that they're basically identical to the GMP ones. So all basically the same thing. Sorry, I forgot to stop recording on that. Yeah, basically the same thing. So what you're going to want to do is, because inside this buffer there are movable weights, what happens is the weight will go for, as the bolt is dropped and these the bolt goes into battery, the weight inside the actual buffer is going to go forward, and then the movable weights actually, like a split second afterwards, they go forward. So just as the bolt goes forward and naturally wants to bounce back a little bit, that's when the movable weights in the buffer shift forward and stop it from bouncing. So I'm really hoping that the high-speed footage is going to show exactly what I've showed you here, and it gives you a bit of an explanation as to why you would need to buffer out your buffer tube before you switch over to like a real steel or a GMP buffer. So yeah, hopefully a picture speaks 1,000 words. I'm going to edit this in a minute and hopefully it's all worked. If not, I'll try again. Hopefully you guys have found this useful. It is an important subject. If you've got any questions about it, flick them to me down below. Or there's always the Discord group, and it's worldwide. It's not just people living in the UK, in the US. We've got people from Japan, we've got people from Hong Kong, we've got people from Spain, Italy, India, you name it. There's people all over the world that are enjoying this system, and we're sharing the knowledge together. We're helping each other all across the world to all do even better with our system. So what a great resource, and it's free. Like, why not? Why not go on there and, you know, help other people, get help yourselves. Yeah, what a resource. Anyway, thanks for spending your time with me today, and I will see you on the next video.